All right, we're back for some more job search advice, and today we're going to cover LinkedIn. First of all, have a LinkedIn profile. Oh, yeah, and this is Matt Haber, Foundation Recruiting Consulting. So let's get into it. Yeah, have a LinkedIn profile. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, you are doing yourself a disservice. LinkedIn is basically the fully used um, social media network for all professional purposes these days, right? So it also is used fairly socially these days as well, but if you're doing anything professional, you really should have a LinkedIn profile and you should do it decent. Um, so first and foremost, have a photo on your profile, right? You definitely need a photo. Make sure it looks professional. You don't have to have it professionally done. You can if you want. I think that's a nice touch, but um, don't be doing wacky things. Look, wear something semi-professional. You're generally just going to have like a profile shot, right? So it's kind of like what you see with me right now, but it would be a smaller picture, generally speaking. Um, and so it just has to look fairly professional, right? So if a polo or a dress shirt or a dress or whatever the case may be, a suit if you want. But I would just generally recommend a professional looking photo that people can relate to. I don't normally recommend having another person in your photo, like your wife or your husband or your partner. It's kind of cute sometimes when you have a kid, but again, I don't know. I think it just that opens up a situation where people can maybe not relate to that, and so I think you want to go for what's kind of like the most widely accepted by everybody, which is just a good professional or semi-professional looking photo. So have that, and then fill out your whole profile. So the summary and about you sections, it's pretty straightforward. It's a summary section that's going to be an easy way to encapsulate your skill set, what you do. So if somebody takes a look at that, it's like a little mini elevator pitch, right? So that's what you want in there. The experience section. So if you haven't watched it yet, I made a video about resumes. Go back and watch that. Essentially, your experience section on LinkedIn should look just like your resume for the most part. So it should have lots of details about what you did, about your accomplishments, quantitative pieces, major responsibilities, and there should especially be a lot of detail for your most recent positions, right? And you want to have a good amount of work history on there. At least 10 years of work history should be on your LinkedIn. So have that built out. And so with all the things on LinkedIn, something you need to realize is LinkedIn is completely searchable. So LinkedIn's not technically a job board, but for a lot of positions, it's the number one place that recruiters are going either directly or indirectly to find your information, right? So it's basically like the job board. There's obviously actual job boards, places like Indeed and things like that, but for a lot of positions, LinkedIn is actually, even though it's not a job board, it's the job board. And everything on LinkedIn is fully searchable, both inside of LinkedIn and externally. Um, some of the things, if you're inside of LinkedIn, if you have a recruiter using a tool, LinkedIn Recruiter, um, so some of that is going to be keyword searchable, and some of it is going to be selectable searchable based on certain criteria. So in addition to just having like kind of like a business card slash resume on your profile, that's the other reason why you want your LinkedIn to be fully built out, is because it's completely searchable. So, and we talked about the experience section and the summary section. Job titles, just like what I mentioned in the resume video, you want to pick job titles that are the best way to represent your skill set and your experience of what you're doing that is widely accepted, right? And so don't have weird titles, because one of the ways that people can search for you on both on traditional job boards but also on LinkedIn is based off your job title. So if you have a strange job title, if you feel like you need to keep that, put a slash and put whatever the most digestible, obvious way to describe what you do is on your LinkedIn job titles. Um, because especially for some types of positions, job title is one of the main ways people search for people. So make sure your job titles are consistent with the most common way that people will consider what you do. Education and certifications, again, mirror your resume, have that built out, especially if you have, if you have degrees, you want them on there, and strong certifications, you want them on there. Skills section, this is a highly searchable section. So you want to, I would say, go in and add as many skills as are applicable, but at least add your primary skills, your top 10, 20 skills, whatever the case may be. I think there's a maximum of 99 or something like that. So go in and add all those skills. This is searchable both from a keyword perspective and a section perspective. So you want all those skills built out on your LinkedIn. Recommendations. So recommendations is kind of like a nice to have, but I do love it. I love seeing it. So recommendations is essentially references right on your LinkedIn. And it does a few things, right? So one, it shows you have a real profile. There's surprisingly a lot of fake profiles on LinkedIn, and it's increasing. It's becoming a bit of a challenge for recruiters and for companies that are trying to find people on LinkedIn. I can make a whole other video about that, but it generally shows you're a real person when you have recommendations, and they're like references, right? So they're going to show that other people think highly of you. They think you do a good job, and it's like a reference or a recommendation. Well, it is a recommendation, right? And it's right there on your LinkedIn, and you can see those. And so I like to see that somebody's a real person, and also it just shows that people think they do a good job, and it shows they've gone a little bit above and beyond from a professionalism perspective to take the time to try to get those. So I like to see that. It's not an absolute requirement, but it's definitely very nice to have. And then now, if you're looking for work, you want to make sure you put your open to work setting on LinkedIn. There's kind of two different ways you can do that. One is just viewable by recruiters. The vast majority of recruiters have LinkedIn Recruiter, so they're going to be able to see that. They're going to be able to search by that. The other one is the green ring. I have kind of mixed thoughts on that. Definitely, when that first came out, I think it was also during a very, very hot job market. I think it was perceived as somewhat negative by some people. I think that still can be the case, depending on who's looking at it and what their perspective is. This is one of those things that kind of can go multiple ways. You don't know exactly what somebody's perception is. It does have the advantage of getting you more notice, and more like people are looking at that and seeing that you're an active candidate. Obviously, don't put the green ring if you are still working, right? If you're still working and you put the green ring on, everybody can see it, and you just flagged yourself as looking for a new position while you're still at your old position. I mean, I guess if your company knows about it, then that's one thing. But so I would just say use the green ring judiciously. Think about it. If you still have a job, I definitely would recommend it. And and then if you're completely actively looking, if you've been laid off or you're just completely looking for whatever reason, you may or may not want to use it, but it's something to kind of consider whether you want to go that way. So that's kind of a general overview of LinkedIn. The next video I'm going to cover is how to go about your search and where to look and other things like that. But I absolutely recommend building out your LinkedIn, make it look good, make it look quality, make it look like a resume, have all those keywords on there, complete all the sections, have a professional photo, do all those pieces. So again, this is Matt Haver with Foundation Recruiting Consulting, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks.